Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson, and today we try out the exciting 2013 Dodge Caravan. Now, this is the family hauler and the go-to choice on family vacations. So we're going to take a very exclusive and in-depth look at this vehicle known as a minivan. Now, when you look at the exterior of any minivan, it obviously is not going to confuse you into thinking this is some type of sports car. Now, we'll go ahead and give you a hint. This is the Grand Caravan, of course, and there's a little initials on the back called RT. Now, RT is from the the racing type technology of Dodge. And although you're not going to confuse this with a two-door coupe, it does add some exterior appeal in this vehicle. Now, what I love about the Caravan, it's been around forever and actually grew up inside a Plymouth Voyager on many family vacations and things like that. And what's funny is that was decades ago, and when you look at the exterior of this vehicle, it actually has a little bit of reminiscent appeal. Now, this one obviously doesn't have wood grain panels down the side like ours did, but other than that, it almost has that throwback square edges like it had back in the day. Now, the Caravan went through a little bit of evolution, started to curve the sides, the roof line, things like that, maybe to add a little bit more sport. Now, they've gone back to their roots here with straight, hard line edges. Now, anytime you do that, and we've seen that across the board on some other vehicles, like the Nissan Quest, the Honda Odyssey, and even like the Tahoe, they've all gone to square edges. And when you do that, of course, we've talked about before, you add interior volume, you're going to add just a little bit more comfort. Now again, when you look at the exterior of this vehicle, of course, we've got the straight lines, and you actually got a little bit of spoiler effect at the back, but overall it's pretty much a square vehicle, and we've gone away from the rounded and kind of curved edges. Now, by the numbers, this is a little bit over 121 inches, and it's about 202 inches overall. Now, what's great about that, with the wheels pushed about as far as they can go, it stretches out the bumps and smooths out your ride. Now, we're riding on 17-inch wheels here, 16 inches are standard. Now, overall, basically, the importance of a minivan is its low stance and its ease of ingress and egress. Now, overall, you're going to be under 6 feet tall and a little bit over 6 feet wide. Now, what's great about that, when you start getting into SUVs and things like that, you're going to get into maybe too big for some drivers. This is a kind of a one-size-fits-all. It's a little bit bigger than a full-size sedan, a little bit smaller than a full-size SUV. So again, you're able to carry everything you possibly could want inside with people and cargo, but again, you got that kind of sedan-like feel. Now, when you talk about minivan, you're obviously talking about ease of getting inside it. And this vehicle does just that like any other minivan, and that's these sliding doors. Now, back in the day, of course, there was only one where it was on the passenger side, and they have, of course, evolved over the years to offer these 4 full-size doors and, of course, the huge rear hatch. Now, what's great about these vehicles is they are powered doors on most occasions, depending on the model, and you simply just pull the handle and it goes right open. Now, what's great about this is that any size, age child can handle this. Pull the handle, it goes right open. My 5-year-old on up to the 13-year-old love this. Now, once inside, they can simply hit the corresponding button on the pillar and it closes right up. Now again, this is simplicity at its best. When you're in the SUV, there's obviously some weight to a door. The child's not maybe going to be able to do it, especially once they get in the vehicle and get in their car seat. So when you do this, you lower the stance, you're getting right in. This is a go-to choice for most families. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is the RT model, and there are just a little bit of difference between this and maybe the lower end. What you're going to notice, first of all, is the monochromatic body color scheme throughout, and especially up here on the front grille, this blacked out look. On other models we've checked out and looked at, there's going to be some chrome accents here and maybe more chrome around the vehicle. But overall, this is monochromatic body color everywhere, and this, of course, is in fire engine like red. Now, even though it says RT, this is not a horsepower driven vehicle. It still has a standard engine in it, but what it does is it stiffens the suspension a little bit, gives you a better exterior styling, and things like that. Now, while we were out, we had some other Caravan owners come up and take a look and wanted to see what the differences were. And one of the biggest differences they noticed right away was the headlight assembly. And where they went from one headlight, they now have 2. And overall, the front end is basically the same, still the crosshair bars up front, but just a little bit of better accents up front. And obviously, with this headlight design, we noticed a lot of throw of light ahead of you in the dark, and it gave you a lot better appearance possibly from the years before. Now, one thing you will notice minivans is that they're lower to the ground, and this only has about a half-foot ground clearance. Now, we took this vehicle on a lot of family trips. I actually tallied more than 2,000 miles, everything from Ocracoke Island in North Carolina all the way down to Clearwater, Florida. And what we did a lot of highway travel. And one thing we noticed a lot of was tire debris from 18-wheelers and that tread that usually ends up in the road or on the shoulders. And we actually had a major incident where we're actually going and a huge tire tread was immediately right in front of us, and we didn't sit till the last second, and we're in stop and go traffic, everything around us. We had nowhere to go, full speed at about 70 miles an hour. And so we were able to brush by it just a hair, but a brunt of the vehicle took the hit of that tire basically around about in this area and went up under the vehicle. And once it passed, we passed by, the car behind us actually took a full impact of it and actually shattered a lot of the front end of that. We luckily got by. We thought we had done some damage, pulled over, and couldn't find a nick anywhere. And surprisingly, even with this low clearance, the vehicle handled it quite well, and especially the impact, because with a tire tread like that and a safety hazard, this vehicle actually did quite well, and I was pleased with its maneuverability and the ability to handle such a debris in the road. Now at the back of the Caravan, what you're going to notice right off the bat is its lower stance, and we only got about a 2-foot lift to raise cargo into this vehicle. Now on SUVs, again, that's going to be a little bit higher. Now on this RT, it did come equipped with the tow hitch, which tows up about 3,600 pounds, not too shabby considering average small toys that you may want, jet skis, a small boat, that will be trailerable. Now once you're back here on this RT model, we did have the optional lift gate system, which basically on your key fob you have a corresponding button, you tap it twice and it opens right up. Obviously if you're right here at it, you can do the handle. Now one thing I did notice that on some SUVs, that once you engage the handle, then the lift gate will take over. On this particular model, it does not do that. You actually have to lift it, not heavy, it's not a hard task, but if it is a power lift gate, I'm not sure why once you engage that handle it won't lift itself, and that's across this year, last year, and previous models. Now once back here though, you're going to notice abundant cargo space. It's actually kind of a little void that goes down. It's not a flat surface, and that allows you to have a lot more storage room. Now overall, it's going to be about 33 cubic feet back here. It's going to almost triple once you lay this third row seat down. Now in comparison to a sedan, a trunk is going to be about half that, about 18 cubic feet. So obviously we've increased once you go to a minivan, and you obviously have all the interior passenger comfort you want as well. Now to obviously close this, you would hit the corresponding button right here that hasn't changed for this year, and it goes right down. Now other safety features to mention, this does have kind of the blind side alert, which means when a vehicle is out of your sight, should you be in reverse, it's going to warn you with an audible sound. It also has the backup camera as well. So overall, this is straight minivan. We like it, and it offers all the amenities. Again, with this square design, I think you're getting as much interior cargo and comfort as you could possibly want. Now in the Caravan, there are tons of storage, and some of it may go unnoticed, and one of them is right here in the floor, and it's part of the Stow and Go system. Now it's hidden by this mat here, which in this case is locked in, has little snaps, and allows it from not sliding around and getting in the way. Obviously when you need to get in there, you kind of take this mat, move it out of the way for a second, just roll it up. But once you're here, there's going to be the storage underneath this little area. Now you just grab the handle and pull up, and it's kind of a 2-hinge system. First hinge is going to allow you to just kind of get quick access. The second hinge will, kind of tilt up some more and allow you to get to the full access. Now this bin goes from this side all the way to the other, which kind of a support across the middle. Doesn't divide it, just one huge system. Now we were able to take like the boogie boards, slide them in there. Actually got 2 in there, plus some sand toys and some other kind of sandy gear that you may just not want to put and get on you. So we put it down there and you closed it right up. Now in this particular case, the seats actually stow and go as well. They'll flip and fold, and Chrysler claims that they can do it like in 5 seconds. I haven't attempted that yet, but there's no reason to rush. You got plenty of time. Flip and fold, and they stow right in there. Along with the back seats will flip backwards and go into that void as well. So you can actually have one huge cargo area if you need it. Now, like we talked about earlier, if you want to make this kind of a full cargo area, there's one simple way to do it. You're going to use the Stow and Go. Now, we've already got a little bit of arrangement for this. We've actually moved the front seat forward, which takes the longest part because this is powered. You got to power it forward. Now all you do is you're going to raise this with the 3-hinge, and what's great is it will actually hold itself in place right here as you go to Stow and Go. Now again, this is simple. You pull the one handle, it flips, and voila, it's automatically basically right ready to kind of tuck away. Now all you do is give a little bit of push to go into the void area, and then you lay your flooring down. And what's great is it now has this little plastic covering to obviously fill that little niche. Now the Stow and Go applies to the second row and the third row as well, and I'm going to give you kind of a quick demonstration of how that works. Now it's fairly simple because they actually have numerically ordered kind of steps, and they're obviously 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now what you do in this case is you simply pull and the headrest flips down. The second is kind of hard to find, but it's down here. You pull that, that's going to flip the back seat. Now the next step is kind of a two-part. You're going to pull number 3 and 4, and it's going to fold right down into the void. Now again, when you do this for all these steps, what that's going to allow you to do is make for one huge cargo area. Once you do that, this entire surface is actually fully flat and fully functional for anything you could possibly throw in there. Now during our Uconnect trip, we did this because we didn't have any extra kids. We actually just had the 2 of us, and it allowed us to actually put our bikes in here. We did not have a bike rack for the outside, so we slid them right in. Now one thing to note is due to this kind of archway here, the bike handles tend to have a problem going in. So we actually slid them first through the doors and then rested them on each side. And that made for an excellent trip because we were able to take our bikes, take the cooler, take everything else in one nice huge surface. Now as you can tell, I've laid all the seating down so we can see the full cargo effect. Now what's great about this is we're going to have at right about 48 inches, just over 48 inches between the wheel wells. Now if you're familiar with obviously plywood and doing some of those do-it-yourself projects, that's great for plywood because it'll slide right in with just a little bit of wiggle room to spare. Now unfortunately, overall, it's just going to fall just at 96 inches, 8 feet, just a little bit right there to that rear end. So it may be hard for that rear hatch to totally close, but with it totally laying flat, that rear hatch can come and just sit, and it won't have to worry about anything sliding out. So it will be a little bit tight going this way with a full sheet of plywood, but what's great is this vehicle can go from people hauler to project hauler in one fell swoop. Now while I've got all this seats folded flat, I'm going to show you a little bit more inside this vehicle. Now right here is tied in with the entertainment system. On this vehicle it came with the DVD player and the 2 fold down screens. Now right here is where you'd add other entertainment like PlayStations, things like that. Now it does have a full power outlet. You control that in the front with simply pressing a button that turns it on. You have some USB connections as well, another car adapter, and the actual video inputs, and that allows you to tie into the video entertainment system and play those games and things like that. Now in our case, during our long trip, 8 hours plus in the vehicle, this allowed us to charge our devices, you know, the iPods, things like that, plugged in right here because we didn't really have the car adapters. So we plugged it in, let them play the games and charge while we were going. Now other little creature comforts to talk about is right here you have the little area for both third row passengers. Now are the little niches, the little places where they can put things, and what I love is there's cup holders on each side. On some vehicles in the back, I've actually noticed they've only had one niche with maybe 2 cup holders side by side. In this case, there's one on each side. The retractable seat belt here is for the middle passenger, but can be of course stowed away when you're not using the third row seat. Now all the things back here, there is a flashlight built in. We use that on a couple occasions during beach walks, outside adventures, looking for creatures and things like that. But it's right there more for safety if should you be out at night and need to get around the vehicle and see what's going on. Now again, we traveled about 2,000 miles total, and on a couple occasions we ended up using the entertainment system on quick jaunts around town. It's not really worth it, but when you're on an 8-hour plus trip with kids, you need to have some entertainment when you're ready. Now we've had these before on vehicles of our own, and typically it's just one screen. Now on the Grand Caravan they offer 2. Second passengers and third have their own type of system. Now what's great is they flip down of course right here, and there are kind of like airplane like little cockpit lights up here as well. Now there is some storages in between. That's possibly for some DVDs or other little items they may want to stow away. Now obviously in the back row you want to have entertainment, but you also want to have comfort, and they fix that with the third zone climate, and that's right here. You simply can control the speed of the air, the temperature of the air, and even what vents you want to select for that. And that was wonderful because while we're up front feeling our own comfort, they were able to control their comfort. Now of course there's kids back here, so they had to agree to what that comfort level was, of course. Now when you're using the rear entertainment system, the DVD player is up front, so it is kind of an adult user type interface, and you're going to control what the kids are watching or whoever it may be back here. Now one little listening device that helps with this is the headphones. Now in this model it came equipped with 2, and these are options that you can add on and do more with, and they're wireless. So they can listen to the video while you're listening to other music and things like that. And they work great paired with the entertainment system, and again lets them listen to what they want to. Now, if you have flown enough, you're familiar with the little kind of cabin lights they have in there, and that's what these similarly look like. And they pivot all around and they give you directional lighting where you need it. Now, what I found with this total black interior is that maybe this lighting is not just enough. Now, it will illuminate exactly what you're holding, but on a couple occasions when I'm loading this vehicle at night, this lighting to me was kind of at its limit because of the dark fabric, things like that. It didn't truly illuminate as much as I wanted. Now, there was a flashlight, so in a couple occasions I used that just to be able to see in the dark in here. And there are a lot of these lights. There's two here, and there's some up front, but I wish there was more of a huge dome light that would give you better access visible-wise at night. Now, besides cargo room in this vehicle, you obviously want to know about comfort for the passengers, and that's leg room. Now, up front, you're going to have around about 40 inches. That's plentiful, of course, and that's typical up front. Anything over 40 inches or more is great. Now, in the back seat, you're going to drop a few around about 37 inches, and the third is going to be around about 32 inches. Typical space for a minivan, and I found to be plentiful. Now, what's great about the second row, of course, there is some ability to slide that forward and backwards with those caption chairs. And again, if it should be tall individual, let's say in the third row, you can accommodate them by moving the second row up just a little bit. Now, other little storage areas on this vehicle are right between the front passengers and driver, and those are hidden with a little cover. You slide them back. And now what's great is during our long, lengthy trip, we put necessities here: Band-Aids, quarters, other things we might need during the travel. And up front, we had our electronic devices and their chargers. Now, what I loved is these dual cup holders right here, because they kind of had a little spongy material that gripped whatever size beverage you put there. So if you went with a bigger bottle, it held it. Smaller, it held it just fine. Now, another little nifty feature, if you don't look real hard, is down underneath all this, and it's kind of a cargo little area that has a kind of netting around it. And we put our iPads down there, especially if we're getting out of the vehicle for a little bit, want to hide them away. Now, up on the dash, we've seen in a lot of vehicles, is the dual glove compartments. There's one up top, one down low. Again, kind of put the go-to things we need during our trip, like DVD player, DVD stuff and things like that. Now, on the doors, what you're going to find is more cargo areas as well. And what I loved on the driver's side is there's little things you want to have while you're driving: pack of gum, Blistex, whatever it may be. And what I love is there's a little bit of tray right here where you can put those little things so you can grab them. On the door as well, there's a bottle holder where you can put another beverage, and maybe Kleenexes down the door. But everywhere you look on those vehicles, there's niches where you can put something for convenience, because the last thing you want to do is be driving and wish you had that item that's way in the back. Now, once you start looking around, you're going to notice the infotainment system here. Now, what I love on a lot of the Chrysler models we've tried out is the Uconnect system in that huge 8-inch touchscreen display. Now, that's not here. Obviously, this model has been out and hasn't been adopted for this one. Now, what I love about the Uconnect system we've used like on the SRT and Chrysler 300 is that it turns this model, any vehicle, into a Wi-Fi hotspot rolling down the road. Now, that's not equipped here, and my assumption is down the road they're going to adopt that Uconnect system and put it on here. So for now, this system will do. It's a little bit smaller, there's a little bit more clutter, but it has everything you want. And we use the navigation religiously on this. Now, on several occasions, actually, we're able to find gas stations by just simply searching for points of interest. Now, one thing that's different on the newer model minivans that's been out for the last few years is the second row sliding door, and specifically the sliding down window. Now, back in the day, this used to be just vented. You couldn't really slide these down. On the newer models, of course, you're able to do that. Now, what I loved about this model in particular is you had the tinted glass, of course, in the back, and you also had this kind of privacy screen. And what it allows you to do is block out even more sun. And what we noticed while going down 95 is going north, of course, you're going to have the sun on your right. Going south, of course, you're going to have it on your left. And that allows that heated sun to kind of be blocked out even more. Even better, on this vehicle, you had it on the third row as well, in that little small window that had a built-in screen that you pull up. And again, it blocks that whole back area. Now, one little complaint is you can't really do it on the front driver's and passenger seat in the front, so we, of course, baked. Now, last but not least is the horsepower under the hood, and this model comes with the 3.6 liter V6 24 valve engine. Now, that is the go-to choice and the only choice in the Grand Caravan lineup. Now, there are no little 4 cylinders to contend with, which does offer anemic power but better fuel economy. But again, we're getting about 25 miles per gallon during our 2,000 plus mile trip. So again, you're still getting pretty good here. Now, as by the numbers, that's about 280 plus horses and around about 268 foot-pounds of torque. So it's not bad numbers, but again, when you're behind the minivan, you're usually going to have children involved inside, so you're not trying to boot, scoot, and boogie. You're not trying to get 0 to 60, but you do need enough to get up and go while you're on the roll so you can dart in and out of traffic. And we found that to be the case on this model. There wasn't any point where we didn't feel like we could get out in traffic. We could get ahead of the curve, let's say. So it does offer all the fuel economy you want. It does offer the get up and go. And again, this is the RT model, so they didn't offer any more horsepower here, but they did offer a little bit more sport-tuned suspension. So you did have a little bit better handling, let's say. But again, this is a minivan, so don't get confused that this is some type of two-door coupe model. Now the engine is coupled with a 6-speed automatic transmission, and to help with fuel economy, there is a fuel economy saver button on the dash. And now we had that engaged the whole time. That's what gave us that 25 miles per gallon type average. Now on this vehicle, it's a 20-gallon tank. So typical go around, you're gonna get about 500-mile range on this vehicle. Now we had a 800-mile kind of destination we did in one fell swoop. So that kind of meant we only filled up more or less one time on our voyage. Now that does it for this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. We tried the 2013 Dodge Grand Caravan. Now we took it on a long voyage, and it was about 2,000 miles we went, and we averaged again about 25 miles per gallon. Now we hauled children, we had hauled gear, and we went all the way down to Clearwater, Florida from North Carolina. So we had a lot of road experience and a lot of road worthiness behind this vehicle. And now what we love, of course, is its minivan-esque. It offers everything you possibly want. It has a little bit of SUV quality, but again, it has that lower stance that you may be looking for the little kids and things like that. And of course, don't forget, this has power sliding hatch doors, something not to be overlooked because that's simple. It allows the little ones to get in, and its ease of ingress is nothing to be looked over. So again, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition. I'm your host, and as always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.